Top 10 of Anything presents My Top 10 Movies. Season 1 of a new miniseries where each guest builds their top 10 movie list and defends every pick. It's the ultimate movie challenge, just 10 films to define your taste, your memories, your life. I'm Pav, and together with our guest, we'll relive classics, uncover hidden gems, and maybe even stir up some debate. Let's get into it. Yeah, it's been, well, I mean, we'll talk about it because it's been weird because, like, if we could just talk about This Country for a start, like I consumed that show for so long in like 15-second increments because like doing the podcast and all that kind of stuff. And I've literally now just started watching it again because it didn't put me off it, but it's kind of like, because I'd seen every tiny bit of it, it was like I OD'd on it. Do you know what I mean? It's So now it's weird coming back from it sort of like 3 years after watching it and really enjoying it, almost watching it for the first time. It was really, really strange.
A similar thing actually has happened to me. Work has taken a dive because I deliver training and councils, etc., are really strapped for cash. So suddenly I had no work. And I thought, well, what do I do? To bridge that gap, and I decided to do tours of, paid private tours. And the love for that program is extraordinary. And it's weird because Daisy and Charlie seem to be the only ones that have moved on.
Yeah.
And we're all kind of hanging around. And I've had people from the States come over, they've been over 4 times, just to do that. And from everywhere, people from everywhere, just that kind of love. And I was doing a tour about an hour and a half, a couple of Mondays ago, and there were 20 other people doing their own tours in that space.
Yeah.
But then you go into the keepers, and the guy goes, "It's a new manager. Never heard of this country." And about 6 people stand up. "Oh, can we have a selfie?" I think, we're keeping you going.
Well, look, we've started. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 2 of the little spin-off thingy that we're doing called My Top 10 Movies. And our guest this episode is someone that I know intimately because, like I was saying on our little preamble there, I've watched like the show that he was in that was, and I think still is, a phenomenon. It's like, okay, it hasn't been on as in a new series or whatever for when was the last series, Paul? 2000.
It was
pre-COVID. It was just before COVID, wasn't it?
It was half of it. The last series, the 3rd series, half of it was before COVID, and the other half, I think, episode 3 was on the first weekend of lockdown.
That's right. But ladies and gentlemen, Martin Mucklowe himself, the man who is trying to shed himself from that persona, Paul Cooper. It's lovely to have you with us, Paul. I can remember back in the days of our movie heaven days when you were literally sat on the damp patch in this very room while Daisy was a guest. I think it was just as the show was called Kerry then. It wasn't.
That's right.
It wasn't called This Country, and you very kindly was. It had rained, and this wasn't rainproof, this little shed, and you were sat in the corner. And there are little nuggets of gold that you said that, like, you didn't have a microphone that was like great, and then you came on as a guest, and I can remember because I think it was Neil that said, "Do you want to come on as a guest?" And I remember, and this is like full disclosure now because you're a superstar and you're famous and all that kind of stuff. But I remember saying to Neil, I said, "Well, what are we going to talk to him about? I mean, what are we going to?" But I have to say, and we've mentioned it before every time we sort of meet, that it was one of the funniest sort of hours or hour and a half that we had because we went on the whole Brian Clough rant and the wine, women and song and all of that stuff.
Oh,
And it was genuinely one of the funniest like episodes of recording that we'd ever done. And that for me was like the beauty of podcasting, with the fact that you think, think, oh my God, what are we going to talk about? And then it was just so funny. But for people that don't know, because obviously this is a completely different podcast to the WTAF, This Country Days, explain to everybody the whole This Country phenomenon, how you got involved.
Yeah, it's been weird because I've been doing a bit of clearing out and went up to basically where the first series and a pilot that they did with ITV, and they did it in the there's a little loft space in the garage here on the Chesterton estate, 2 up, 2 down. So we had a boys' room and a girls' room. You know, it was tough times. We had, you know, I went from having a 5-bedroom house to and being in sales to absolutely nothing. And I'm still here in this 2 up, 2 down rented place. But I think if that hadn't happened, This Country wouldn't have been, it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
But Charlie, last week only, just found this notepad with Daisy, and they did this pilot with ITV, you know, through Universal, and spent 4 years doing it, writing and putting it on. And the guys at Universal kept, no, this isn't right. No, you've got to go back. No, it's not. 4 years they worked on that. So that was extraordinary, the stuff they did. You know, I would have said it was a year, you know, so that's just before This Country. It didn't work out, but I think they learned so many lessons. And after that, Daisy emailed Shane Allen from, you know, BBC, and he said, let's go straight to series. You know, he'd heard about what was happening, and the rest was history. So yeah, in 5 weeks, we did 6 episodes on that first, you know.
Because were you involved in you were in the pilot, the unmade pilot, well, the pilot, let's just call it that.
Yeah.
You weren't Martin Mucklowe, were you, in that?
No, I was in Blackjack Street working at Jesse Smith's, and I come out with some meat. I was a butcher, and said, get away from here, Kerry, you know, you're no good, or something stupid.
Yeah.
Stupid line. So that was the first taste. Yeah. When you get a taste of acting. I mean, it was my first time acting and Charlie's very first time of acting. You know, he didn't do it as an option at school, had no interest whatsoever. And it was only really helping Daisy out with the writing. And then it was, right, who's going to play the part? So his very first time he's ever acted, other than doing Grandfather's Clock at primary school, singing that, was Scarecrow Festival. So
right.
and that was you know one of his best performances, I think. So
and that was
whereas
the thing
Daisy had been through the whole thing,
of course,
you know,
Rada and that. But that was the thing that the first season, especially yourself, is like you wouldn't know that was your first acting job. Do you know what I mean? It was like you were so comfortable in that. And another thing that when you actually met you compared to your character, a bit like Ashley Maguire, you're so different to what your character is that you're one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Yet Martin Mucklowe is an absolute shit. And we've said it a million times.
Yeah, the Independent said Martin was the nastiest person on TV. You know? There
you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, everyone says, gosh, you're posh.
But sorting out that character then, you must have had input into what you wanted to do in regard. I mean, the tattoos and stuff, was any of that your idea, or was that all on the page?
No, yeah, none at all. It was quite a shock. You know, Daisy kind of said, well, why didn't you try for, you know, and it was going to be a much more minor part, and they kind of built it up. And they just said, listen to I said, well, what voice do I do? They said, well, listen to the Fred West police interviews on YouTube, where he's got this kind of voice, which is fairly, you know, it's fairly unemotional, but saying these horrific things. So that was my kind of starting block. And it just kind of built from there, really. I mean, the first series was passing. I didn't know what the hell was really going on. Very kind of you to say those words. You know, it just kind of freaked me out. You do a little scene, you think, phew, I did. And they said, right, you got to do it from another angle, then another angle. And you think, what? You know, it took me a whole series to really kind of get into it.
Yeah.
And the bizarre thing is, because I was obviously the kids are in it the whole time, but on the Monday I was working in, hoarded houses, and then on the Tuesday you're getting picked up by a merc and treated like royalty, and spend a day on set. Then Wednesday I'm back in my filthy estate going to another hoarded house. Bizarre, very strange.
So from what you'd say is the apex of the whole This Country thing, with winning the BAFTAs and then the final series, if you like, to going now, what's it like now that you're sort of away from the actual full sort of making it and everything? You said about doing the tours. I take it you're still getting people daily coming up to you and asking for selfies, and you get other acting job chances.
Yeah, I mean, no one ever comes up to me in Cirencester, but it's probably because they know me. But they come up to Daisy because I think they just can't help themselves.
Yeah.
It's weird. It depends where you are in the country. Our office has moved down to Devon now, and I'm getting stopped all the time there, but other places not. It's weird. It keeps dragging me back. I keep trying to move on, and it drags me back. So now I'm doing the tours. And I'm also doing quizzes. And I think so now I'm meeting a whole generation of who are only just getting into it. So we did a This Country quiz in Brixton, and it sold out 170 people, and they're all in their 20s,
Yeah.
So it's reaching kind of new audiences all the time. And it's just this love for it everyone has, But yeah, I can't get away. I'm just trying to get away, do my other things, but it keeps dragging me back.
It's like Al Pacino. They keep dragging you back, keep pulling you back in.
Yeah.
And I suppose if anyone's going to know from a This Country fan, which obviously I am, if anyone's going to know if there would ever be any more This Country, it's going to be you, because the people that did it are your kids. So, or have they moved too far on now to go back to something like that?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, they're very busy doing lots of writing, some of it together, some of it apart. So that's and they've recorded stuff. There's a paranormal documentary coming out, I think in October, BBC, with both of them. Never say never. And they've kind of looked at stuff, even including a tour at one stage. But there'll never be another series, but who knows? Look at Gavin and Stacey with the Christmas one. There might be something like that. Yeah. But I think it will be, not yet. Definitely, it will be in a few years. I know, the the executives are always, taking Daisy out for a meal or whatever, and they nice meal at the end. They say, "Would you do another series?" I said, "No." All right, okay. So I don't know. Yeah, who knows?
And acting firmly still in your future, or are you just like whatever comes up, you're quite happy to have a look at it and give it a
kind of whatever comes up.
Yeah.
Fairly desperate. But I've had one paid gig this year, but been involved in a lot of independent stuff. But there's a real new wave kind of coming through, and I'm really impressed with things that people are doing. There's a real great scene in Swindon. There's a great scene in Bristol, and I love being part of it. And doing some of my own stuff. I've written a short film that we hope to bring out called Dinosaur Ghost, which was actually an idea that Daisy and I talked about This Country, and we're doing a musical. So the new genre is going to be 15-minute funny musicals, and we're doing one about a carvery,
right,
called Heavy on the Knife. So we went up once with the football charity to Liverpool, and the charity that we work with up there, they said, "Oh, come for a Sunday lunch," and it was on an estate, flat roof pub, and everyone lining up to go, to get the meat. The guy's carving goes, "Heavy on the knife, heavy on the knife." So that's a weird musical, and we've got ballet dancers in it and pole dancers. It's a very strange, but it's I'm loving it, and getting back to music, playing the keyboard, writing a couple of songs for it. So
you had me at pole dancing. You had me at pole dancing. Okay, right. We're here to count down your top 10 movies of all time. How easy or hard was it to compile your list?
Very hard, because I could have a completely different 10, films easily, and you kind of think, oh God, there's no Tarantino in there, and there's no, so it's very hard. But I think, with it's there or thereabouts. I think some quite different genres from different times.
Have we got any cheating? Have we got like 5 different choices for number 7, as Ashley Maguire did? Ashley Maguire managed to get 23 movies into a top 10. So
right now I've got 10.
That's what I like. Straight into the point, Mucklowe style. Go on then, Paul. Hit us with your number 10. Let's see what you got.
Yeah, for number 10, I have got Le Havre, which is it's a beautiful film, all filmed in Le Havre, about an immigrant boy that is befriended by a local French guy. And it's just kind of every single shot is like a Cézanne painting. I've never seen anything with the colors and stuff. And it's a real good kind of feel-good movie. Everything turns out, the wife's got cancer. This boy looks like he's going to be deported, and just everything kind of works out in the end. It looks so French, but it's actually by a Finnish guy. I can't even pronounce his name. Aki Kaurismäki, looks like, and some of the actors are Finnish as well. But it's beautiful, absolutely. I thoroughly recommend it. I think it's on Prime, but you've got to pay £3 or whatever for it.
Right.
Absolutely lovely. I think it's definitely the best in terms of the color and whatever. Very well acted. But very few people know about it.
For a second there, I thought you was going to say it's the best French film directed by a Finnish director I've ever seen.
I was absolutely amazed when I saw that it was a Finnish guy. But
right. So where would that come on your radar? Was it just like flicking through Amazon? At point, I do love France. I like French movies, and some of their police stuff on TV, their series I've really followed. Think that's really good. I think a lot better than ours. I think the kind of police, we're brilliant at comedy, but I think there's a lot wrong with some of the stuff coming out now with some really big names. Some police stuff is, wow, I'm just, Yeah, my wife devours all that stuff, and it just seems to me to be the same story, but with a different star in it.
And badly acted, and you can kind of see the star thinking, God, what am I in this for? There's 2 I can think of with, heroes of mine, but God, really cool.
Do you have specific genres of TV that you like watching then?
I do like mysteries, murder, revenge, anything with revenge on. You kind of quickly skip through the bit where his wife and kids are murdered, but then you just want revenge. Love a revenge movie.
Yeah.
Probably my favorite. Yeah.
There's always that kind of thing of the person on the screen is doing what you feel like you would do in that situation when it's a revenge movie.
Yeah.
There's something quite satisfying about that. And they've also got those certain set of skills as well, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. That's your number 10. What's your number 9?
Number 9, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Classic.
Because the 60s, and I was amazed, 1968 that came out. The spaghetti Western. So that was my first year at secondary school. So I was starting to get into those kind of things. And of course, we'd been brought up in the 60s, late 50s, and 60s with cowboy films and war films. That was about the only thing that was on there. So it was all the John Wayne and whatever, which I liked most of it. But this was completely different gravy, And I was amazed. I thought it was kind of mid-70s, but looking back, 1968, and it kind of changed stuff, didn't it? I mean, Clint Eastwood and Lee Van Cleef as well. Just and the other films that followed, So
Eli Wallach as well.
It was,
there's so. I mean, we say the icon word so many times on this podcast, but there are so many iconic moments that other people seem to borrow in the end from that. The close-ups, the Ennio Morricone, just it's just Sergio Leone. It's just a great movie. Yeah. And again, westerns.
And the atmosphere, like, as in Le Havre, which, anything that's got atmospheres, I just love, and there was just, you could cut it with a knife, couldn't you? I mean, it's just unbelievable, the stuff there.
So you're a big Russ Abbott fan?
Big Russ Abbott, absolutely. Good old Russ. Yeah, I like old Russ.
This is going to sound horrible, but is he still alive or has he passed?
I was just thinking that. I'm not sure. I think he had quite a lot of heart problems, so I'm not sure.
I'm going to have to just look, because I don't think I'm going to carry on the podcast, Russ, without knowing if Russ Abbott is still about. Russ Abbott, there he is. He is still about.
Oh, wow.
He was born the 16th of September, 1947, and according to IMDb, he's still...
So 77, he's 10 years older than me, so it's not that much, yeah.
There you go.
Wow.
He was always one of those ones that always seemed to look older than he was then.
Yeah, definitely.
Like sort of 70s and 80s, he seemed like he was in his mid-40s.
Yeah, I'm not sure I want to see a pic of him now then. Look 120.
If you want to, ladies and gentlemen, just Google Russ Abbott now and you can look yourself and see what he looks like. That's fine. Okay, the other question, about in regards to your top 10, have you kind of kept it like one movie per kind of movie, or?
No, just put down kind of 10. I mean, and I think, tomorrow it might change in terms of order and whatever.
I completely agree. Go on then, what's your number 8?
Trainspotting.
Oh, yes.
And I came quite late to this. I haven't read the book.
No.
But I've read other, I've read other books of his, some good, some not. And, I didn't see it at the cinema. It was a few years later that I saw it, but I love Trainspotting and the sequel as well. I thought was superb.
Yeah.
And Danny Boyle, what a writer, doesn't matter how good actors and whatever you've got, you need a good, director rather, obviously Irvin Welch, great book, although I didn't read it. Must be a great book because the film is superb. And great to have kind of, the 90s were great, weren't they? It was a real good time for Britain, and the bands and stuff and stuff like Trainspotting. We were at our peak.
Yeah.
Things have changed a bit, unfortunately, but
Cool Britannia, I think it was, wasn't it? And the Britpop thing, and oh God, it seems like such
Premier
a
League started like 2 and stuff.
It's crazy how it always makes me laugh whenever you talk to what I class as old people, and they'll say that the 50s and the 60s were the good old days. But as everybody listening to the podcast knows, I listen to a Carry On movie every night, and I can't remember which Carry On movie it is. They're still complaining that, the common market, what a state we're in. And you think that was in like the late 60s, early 70s, and they were still complaining about politics and that then. So everybody looks back at rose-tinted spectacles for whatever specific genre or era, or if you like.
I think, 70, the youth culture and stuff and the changes that happened. And it was all without mobile phones and the internet, But I remember in music, Friday, the NME came out, and that was everything's too instant now, and it makes it a bit boring. It makes it a bit bland. It was having to wait for stuff, And movies in the 60s, it was on the cinema, and it would be a few years before it got onto TV.
Exactly. I had to speak to my mum and dad because I was trying to get dates in my head for the first time I saw Star Wars. Now, I saw it in the summertime, but it couldn't have been summer of 77 because that's when it came out in America. It didn't come out in the UK until Christmas of 77. So it must have been the summer of 78. And I thought, oh my God, it took me a whole year before the movie came out for me to see the movie that, I've seen more than any other and that made me love cinema. And it was that thing, again, it makes you sound like an old fart, because then when you're talking to younger people, you'll say, you don't know how lucky you had it. We used to have to wait like 3 years before it came on TV. But the one thing, like exactly what you said, I used to love the Christmas TV adverts where it would tell you what movies were going to be on that year. And oh my God, they're showing Raiders of the Lost Ark. Oh my God, they're showing Empire Strikes Back. Whereas you can watch any movie you want anytime now, literally 2 weeks after it's come out of the cinema.
Yeah.
And it's great that you can do that, but it kind of does take away the specialness of it all.
Yeah, and the family all watched it, whereas now obviously kids don't watch TV, do they? I mean, it's just YouTube
watching,
or whatever.
Yeah. And as much as everybody wanted the biggest screen they could get for a TV, now everybody's watching it on a 3-inch screen, just like in front of their nose. But then all we're doing now is we just sound like old farts moaning.
Yeah, well, we are, aren't we, at the end of the day? Let's face it. Yeah.
Oh, God. Okay, so Train Spotting number 8. What's your number 7?
A weird one. Black Narcissus. I think it's been, that's a film 1954, I think, Deborah Kerr. And it's just it's the atmosphere. I've never seen a film with so much kind of atmosphere on many kind of levels. And it's always windy there in the scenes. And that Technicolor, that I think I don't think that's ever been beaten. Love that Technicolor. Those films that came out of that. And there was also a kind of, it's based in a convent, and there's also a good-looking guy who is the British agent for Maharaja. And, all the nuns fancy him, but can't do anything about it. So the atmosphere is just, I really recommend just people watching it, for that alone.
I've heard of it, but I've never watched it.
I think they're doing a remake, and no way are they going to be able to, it's everything's just based in a monastery, in a convent, high up, in the kind of Nepal or somewhere like that, I think. But it's just that atmosphere is just completely electric. Yeah, so that would be my top film in terms of atmosphere and the Technicolor. Just love it.
Where do you stand on things like remakes when they go to remake a film? Have you got a movie that you like that is a remake?
Not so far. And the Sweeney.
Oh God!
We were brought up on the Sweeney. Trevor and I. Trevor, who plays Len, obviously in this country. The Sweeney was on when we were at school and stuff, and that was just that was such a big leap from sort of Z Cars and Dixon of Doc Green. I think they did do a movie, but gee whiz,
Reagan and Carter, remake. Wasn't it? It was John Thor and Dennis Waterman.
Yeah, we're special, Bronson. We're the Sweeney, and we hadn't had our dinner.
That's right. Yeah.
And I love the guy that they had dedicated drivers just sitting around on the corner of a road, and they quickly jump in the car. Right, let's go follow that. And it was all, whatever happened to bank, robbers and raids? That was great. Who wants cyber bloody crime when you go in with your wife's nylons over your head with a sawn-off shotgun? Those were the days.
But the sad thing is now,
criminals.
The sad thing is now, Paul, people aren't even going in with stuff over their heads, and tights over their heads. They're just walking into Tesco's, grabbing what they want, put it in a bag, and just fucking off. They don't care.
But we need the Sweeney back to rough them.
That's
up.
what I was going to. You need Reagan and Carter there and say, "Come on, you slag," and just grab them.
And just win them with a good old punch. Now
that's what you want. That's what you want. You want 70s justice. Street justice is what you want.
I have to say, I have to say it's a bit concerning. I did some work at with trainee police officers, and before it, I was told, "Oh, by the way, this is a non-banter area. You're not allowed to do any banter."
And what do they describe as banter? What do they class as banter?
Just back and forth and whatever. Because of things that have happened, I think WhatsApp stuff that's happened. But my kind of response was, hold on, they're going to be out on the street.
Yeah.
Banter is the one thing. We're a nation of piss takers. That's what we do best.
Yeah.
That's about the only thing we're good at.
That's true.
Is taking the piss. And you've got to have that. That will diffuse any situation, but it's completely frowned on. That. So I don't quite know where we're going. If it was an Olympic fucking sport, we'd get gold every year.
I don't know. Anyhow, Thatcher's Britain. That's all I say. Oh dear. Right. We might as well class this. This could be called Two Old Gits. We should just have two old gits moaning. Mate, Paul, we might have a new podcast on here. We might have a new one. Okay, your number 6 then, please.
Yeah, different for me because I hate kind of horror and stuff like that. Blair Witch Project.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
And yeah, I just thought, again, it was the atmosphere. I'd not seen a film like it, kind of atmosphere-wise. Mm. And weirdly, a couple of years later, I was doing some football stuff in Maryland. And as we were driving through, the guy I was with said, "Oh, this is where they filmed Blair Witch." I said, "What?" Driving through forest.
Really?
So I said, Can we start? Have a look around. Yeah. But I just, the atmosphere. I mean, nothing massive happens, and that's the joy of it. That's the scariness of it.
It's a very slow.
We're in a tent and something's banging it. And that's your fear. I'd never go in a tent because of that. If I'm alone in a whatever, and it's just that build up, that psychological build up. I think is just brilliant. It's kind of looks a bit old hat now, but I think at the time that was really.
It was the first of its kind. Well, no, it wasn't the first of its kind, but it was a real big breakout thing. What I need to do is the next time we're in a room together, I need to make sure I get there first. And then when you walk in, I'm just going to stand in the corner with my back to you. And that'll really shit you up because that's what happens right at spoilers. That's what happens at the end.
Yes.
And you'll wonder, oh my God, it's all happening again. It is such like I say, it got imitated so much afterwards, the found footage and that, but the way they did it, and they did it just at the birth of the internet, so they made it all like it was all real. It was just so cleverly done. And I think it was made for like $40,000 and ended up making 40 million or something stupid like that. But yeah, so good, such a good film. But you're not an actual horror. I mean, I'm not a big horror fan, but you're not an actual horror fan as such.
No. But yeah, that just kind of did it for me. I just saw it and I just thought, oh, this is so different, atmosphere, again, which is really important to me. And I just thought it was so good. It fucking terrified me at the end. I was looking, doing all that stuff.
I've said it before, that was the first movie I watched on our home cinema system. And when you've got that guy in the woods shouting, I kept looking out of our living room window, going, "Who the fuck's shouting down the street?" And it wasn't. It was the speaker behind me that was like, it freaked me the fuck out. It was just one of those movies. Okay, then you're number 5.
Number 5 sounds a bit pretentious. The Seventh Samurai.
Why is that pretentious?
Well, I don't know.
Classic.
Everyone kind of has it on their thing. But I was a massive fan, and my brother was as well, of The Magnificent Seven.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm not sure when that came out, and always the quiz question: who was the, who were the 7? I can't remember now. All I remember is the trick one was Hortzbuckles, who I'm not sure if it was in any other movies, and that was a great movie and loved it. Grew up with that. But a lot of people kind of said, "Oh yeah, but we think Seven Samurai, which it's based on, is even better." So years and years later, I dipped my toe. Only about 10 years ago, something like that. I dipped my toe, and wow, what a film! 3.5 hours long, black and white, but just superb. 1954, that was filmed. I mean, it's 50 odd years.
Magnificent Seven was 1960. It was 1960, Magnificent Seven.
Wow.
So it was only a few years after.
6 years later. That is interesting.
So how many of the Magnificent Seven can you name?
Oh, God. Yul Brynner.
That's one. I'll give you a ding for each one.
The guy from, trouble is I can't remember any names. Robert Vaughan.
Well done. That's two.
From Man from U.N.C.L.E., which all our family watched religiously every Thursday.
That's right. David McCallum, wasn't it? Was the other guy?
Mm.
Yeah. Anyway, that's two. Think Death Wish.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking. He wasn't the knife guy, was he? Bronson. Yeah, Charles Bronson.
Charles Bronson. We don't normally do quizzes on this section of the episode, but there you go. It doesn't matter.
Steve McQueen.
Oh, there you go. What's that? Is that 4 or 5? And then you obviously had the one that you said earlier on.
Paul Buckles. Yeah. I know the guy. I can't. I'm just names of my words.
I think James Coburn. Was James Coburn?
Yes, he was the knife guy with the knife.
He was the knife guy. Eli Wallach was in it, but I don't know whether he was one of the 7. Brad Dexter.
Right. Okay.
I'm just going through what it says on IMDb, but I don't know how many of those were actually the the 7.
The 7.
So it's a bit of a silly way of doing a quiz. I don't know what the answer is, to be fair. But so obviously you think that Seven Samurai is better than the Magnificent Seven?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the Magnificent Seven was great, and they're pretty level, but I just thought it just took me into a whole new thing, and I've since sort of read, books on him about his, the way he films and stuff, and the energy, atmosphere again. He's always got things like, a scene and it's always like windy or something. There's always movement and stuff, or it's raining, or, he always wants movement in his so it's setting up those shots and really artistic, not just telling the story, but, thinking about all the other things, the creativity that he can put into it. Yeah.
Cool. That's your number 5. So what's your number 4?
Yeah. So still in the Far East, City of Life and Death, which is a traumatic watch. It's in black and white. And it's about, the atrocities, Japan's invasion of China. So it's based in 1937. And, just Nanking, which was then the capital, was completely destroyed. Hundreds of thousands murdered and raped. They call it the rape of Nanking, and just the butchery. And my God, it doesn't stop. The whole film, that you can't pause for breath. Brilliantly done, with so many people. Many, many years before CGI and stuff. And I think there's been some brilliant kind of Chinese, war films and stuff. Absolutely, absolutely amazing. But it's a tough watch. But you think of any other war film that's been, and there's no gallantry or whatever here. It's just brutal, really brutal.
It says on IMDb that it was 2009.
Right, okay.
So I didn't realize, because the way you look at it, like it shows some clips on here, it looks like it's an old film.
Yes, yeah.
But very much.
Yeah, it's a heavy watch, but it's extraordinary. And some of just the little things, and they're kind of talking to this bloke, and the baby's crying, and he just snatches the baby and throws it out, wow. And it's just as if it's the most normal thing to do in the world.
Yeah.
It's just it just captured that brutality, and,
So it's very much in the vein of like a Schindler's List, that kind of thing.
Yeah, but it's just the whole time. It's just fighting and just killing, just the whole time. Relentless. Yeah, absolutely relentless. And, the Chinese lost 10 million in World War II, which is, I think, the second most, for a nation. Russia about 20 million. And, China 10 million. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. This is deep stuff for a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your number 3?
Yeah, so completely at the other end of the scale, another 90s film is Il Postino, which is
Oh,
an
okay.
Italian film. And it's just a beautifully done. And again, every single shot is like a painting. And it's basically the story of a little island, and this guy, the postman, and Pablo Neruda, who was, he's an amazing poet from Chile, and if you ever get his love poem book, is absolutely beautiful. And but he has going to have so many packages and letters, and he lives right at the top. He's staying for a while, a couple of years on this island. They need an extra postman, so this guy is really intrigued by that. He's very shy. There's a beautiful girl lives in the village, and he's in love with her. And Neruda basically teaches them about love and life and gets him to write, poems and stuff. And all the other people in the village are fishermen, so this beautiful girl's not really interested in it then. And then the postman comes round and starts talking about her eyes and, that they shine like the stars in the sky, all this sort of thing. And then Nero died. He goes back to Chile, and he goes around with this recording apparatus to record the sea and the wind in the mountains and stuff to send him. There's also a bit of a political thing there. He goes to a rally. I won't tell you what happens. That's near the end, but it's just a beautiful film, a real tonic.
Sounds like a nice antidote to the City of Life and Death. So
watch it straight after.
Yeah, have that as a double feature. That would be quite nice. But I'd have it City of Life and Death first and then Il Postino. Don't do it the other way around.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, you're number 2 then.
Yeah, well, we discussed this one years ago before this country and stuff, which was Kes.
Oh, Kes.
And because it was kind of around, in fact, it was a couple of years later than when I was at school. I think it was filmed 1970, something like that. But just represented school at the time, And I look back. In fact, I went, not last year, it was back. I was asked to go back to my school in Bideford. It was a grammar school. We were there. And they had a dinner, so I kind of went and did a talk. And a couple of my classmates were there, So I haven't seen them for 54 years, I think it was, worked out. But it was just about violence, basically. Those days, Basher Bartlett was the physics teacher, Flogger Hoskins. But Basher Bartlett, physics was 40 minutes, and he had a meter rule where he always caned at least 10 kids in a lesson, just for talk with anything. So come out the front, bend over. Mm-hmm. So each one was about 2 minutes. So I reckon half the lesson, 20 minutes of corporal punishment and 20 minutes of physics. But weirdly, I look back on those days, most of it was just so funny, but the violence from the teachers was extraordinary.
Yeah.
And your parents weren't interested, I mean, people, I've seen a teacher punch someone, There's another Harry Parry, the chemistry teacher, who looked exactly like Himmler, and he'd say that and then slap you on the ear. Fucking hell, that can deafen you.
And there you go. And then people.
Those were the days.
Those were the days. Oh my God, it is crazy when you think.
And there was no one that you couldn't go to a teacher or anything and say this has happened or whatever. Yeah. And the playground, they never came out. There's fights, all the bundle, when everyone ran in. There's a fight going on, and because it was just prefects had to sort that out. I always remember, when my brother was there, and everyone locked themselves into the tennis courts last day of term, and then someone got a key and then went out, and about 100 kids all ran down. It was on the Points West News.
Oh my God.
And Drog, the headmaster who had the mortarboard, and he started caning, and I think he had to go to hospital with exhaustion. He had to cane about 150 kids.
Jesus, that is crazy.
But anyway, those were the days.
But Kes has got one of the greatest football matches ever put to celluloid, I think, with Brian Glover.
Yeah, that is exactly how it was in the 60s. Probably still is a bit PE. It's just, but I just thought it was a great film. I'd read the book, and just lovely, and easily his best. I just thought, I really like Ken Loach, but I think that was his pinnacle. He never got anywhere near that, I don't think.
Yeah.
And in fact, some of his later stuff I thought was so corny, but that I think he just captured brilliantly.
I didn't realise that it came out the year that I was born in 1969. I thought it was a 70s movie. I didn't realise it was a late 60s movie. But I think we watched that at school. I think they showed us
probably
that at school.
Yeah, it was in some schools. We didn't have it, unfortunately. It was like the O-level book, So I started school 68, secondary school, so it would have been I could have been in that football match.
It's and again, for any of our American friends, if you want to know what 60s / 70s Britain was like, just watch Kes, because it's basically all of it wrapped up in like 90 minutes or nearly 2 hours of a movie. It shows you it was never sunny. It was always grey for some reason, the 60s and 70s. You watch any TV show from that time, it always just felt and looked like it was just grey. But Britain was grey, but such a good film of its time, definitely. Okay then, Paul, what is your number one movie of all time?
So number one movie of all time, and this was because I watched it when I was young, and it's resonated with me ever since, is Zulu.
Oh.
And that came out in 1964. It was a U, which is unbelievable, really.
That's crazy.
It was, So we were on holiday, and my dad took myself and Trevor to see Zulu. So I was 7.
Right.
And I mean, if you play it now, it looks like it could have been recorded yesterday. It's just one of those things that looks. And I must admit, I was hiding most of it. I mean, it was, it was very, very graphic. But I just thought it was, the kind of colonial days, and the British Army had its worst ever defeat at Iswendana the day before, 1200. I think there's only 3 survivors, and the Zulus, incredibly brave. And here we are again invading some country, but you can't, it was what it was as its time. Can't run away from it. And then, Rorke's Drift, there was 100-odd men and 4,000 Zulus. I just thought it was a terrific film, really, really done well. And I've read about the Zulu War since, and I've gone to some of the graves and stuff. And I just think it was amazing, brilliantly done. I think there was 11 VCs were awarded. And I've kind of followed some of those. There was a guy called Hookie in the film who was, in the film he's portrayed, as a malingerer, he's in the hospital part, and he's drunk the whole time and whatever. In real life, he was a lay preacher and a teetotaler and lived just outside Gloucester and Churcham.
Oh, right.
And his family walked out of the premiere, because this wasn't their relative being. So I've been to the church there, and his, after Chard, who was played by Michael Caine, he got him a job at the London Museum, the British Museum. The British Museum is a kind of just on the door type thing, and he had this Agassiz wound, and he had a headache ever since, and it kind of, his hair didn't grow back. But But there's another one that's very poignant, and I'm involved in Herefordshire, a place called Peter Church, and there has the grave of Robert Jones. And we are doing the charity I work. I'm a non-paid director for the Children's Football Alliance. We twin pitches all around the world with the Flanders Peace Pitch in. Got 82 pitches now in 6 continents, but we're also starting to do peace gardens, and we've got another one happening in Mazines, Belgium, site of the World War One, the Christmas truce, and also one in Delhi. And we're doing it's in the graveyard. We're doing a peace garden there. So buried there is Robert Jones, and his story: he was 21. He was a farm labourer. And he got a VC for the courageous stuff he did in the hospital, dragging people out and saving their lives. He was stabbed 4 times with an assegai and was shot as well, but survived. So came back, got his VC, came back to Peter Church, married a local girl, had 5 children, but had incredible PTSD. We think that PTSD is a new thing, but had awful PTSD. And then 20 and had alcohol issues to try and hide that pain. And then 20 years on, he started to get these incredible head pains, probably from some wound or other, and asked his employer if he could borrow his gun to shoot rabbits, and committed suicide. So the coffin wasn't allowed through the gates at Peter Church. It had to go over the wall, and his grave is turned around the other way. So all the other graves are facing one way, and his grave has to face the other because that was what happened at the time.
Yeah. But
obviously an incredibly brave man, and to be treated. I understand, that was what happened at the day. But interestingly, because it's all connected with, our peace pitch and World War One, I found a Commonwealth grave there as well for a British soldier who was a machine gunner, the only World War One grave there. And he was 18 years old and killed 11 days before the end of the war. So just in that little graveyard in a place which has 2 pubs and a shop, there's some real stories there.
Absolutely.
Very brave young men.
We'll put the link to your charity in the show notes so that people can look and have a little bit more, because you've done a lot of work over the years with that, haven't you, and sorting out peace pitches and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's amazing. So we've just got one in Romania, one in Slovenia. And we've got a cricket pitch in Barbados, which is, they call it the Kennington Oval, same as the one in London. But that was in Bridgetown, and that was last year, had the one-day cricket international, the final. So, and I was lucky to go to Australia, New Zealand, Samoa, and Fiji in October. So we're probably going to Barbados next year with this pitch. And also next month, we're going to Auschwitz as well, a peace pitch just outside there in a primary school. So there's 56 conflicts worldwide at present, the most since the Second World War. And we've got 12 pitches in those areas, so supporting those children. And we bring those children over for a week in September.
Wonderful stuff. And closer to home, as we're recording this, the Premier League kicked off on Friday. My team came away with a 4-2, lucky 4-2 win against Bournemouth. Fulham, which is your team, 1-1.
Yeah, and Charlie's. Yeah, we drew 1-1 away at Brighton.
Last minute, wasn't it?
Last minute. Yeah, Muniz, who may be sold, which would be an absolute travesty. We've really worked on him over the years, and just as he's reaching his pinnacle, looks like we might sell him. Yeah, we got 4 points off Liverpool last year.
You did. I mean, I will say, I felt we were being very kind, and because we'd already won the league, and we gave you 3 points at the end of the season, like we did with Chelsea. It was nice of us, to do that. But so where has your love for Fulham come from?
Charlie, really, he wanted to go back 20 years ago. He wanted to support a Premier League team, and loved the light blue shirt, which was the kind of second, was the away shirt. So we went up there, and it was just a really nice atmosphere, and it's a proper old ground. It's Leach. I think it's the only Leach stand, which built like 1908, the Johnny Haynes stand. It's a really old ground. They built this incredible stand, the Riverside stand as well. So you walk along the river, loads of pubs in Putney. So it's just a really nice day out. We were season ticket holders during the championship years, but with grandchildren and stuff, I saw one game last year. We saw one game the year before. So we just haven't been much, but I would like to go again.
And it's weird because normally it's the father that will guide the son to a particular team. Like my boy is a Liverpool fan because I'm a Liverpool fan. It's weird that it was the other way around with you. It was Charlie and then sort of leading you into being a Fulham fan.
It was, and it was kind of love at first sight, really. And there's never any trouble there, and the crowd are really nice and informative, and it's we get every other team calls us the Tarquins, and we're kind of people are cutting up cake, with a little plastic knife, Victoria sponges at half time, and away games, this big thing with cheese, like all these cheeses and ports over the club.
Oh my God, what's going on?
The club shop brought out last year Fulham cheese boards for away days. It's like going to Ascot or something.
Oh my God, I didn't realise that was going on. That's the Premier League for you. That's the Premier League for you. So as we're winding up then, what have you got planned? You got any plans, any acting plans coming up in the future, or?
Yes, we're recording. There's a couple of things. I'm in. One is a boxing coach. I'm really looking forward to that because I like my boxing. That I think it's being recorded in November, an independent film, and I'm doing a musical with a lady called Laura. She's writing the script, and I'm doing the music, called Heavy on the Knife. So the new genres, is going to be 15-minute, funny musicals.
You heard that here first, ladies and gentlemen. So when everyone's doing it, just remember that Paul was the one that started that, the 15-minute musicals.
And it's going to be absolute mayhem in it as well. And my grandchildren, a couple of my grandchildren have a few lines and stuff, so that should be fun.
That's lovely. It's been a pleasure, Paul. It's always lovely to chat to you. We must meet up and go for a drink or something, because it's been too long since we've actually sort of met each other. I'll put the links in the show notes for everybody else. All of our links and everything is in there. Just tap away. It's all in there. All the Gubbins is there. Paul, thank you so much. It's lovely to see you again, mate. Please take care. Say hi to Daisy, Charlie and Jill and all the kids for me. And for everybody else, well, bye. See you soon.
Thanks, Pablo.